Shalom Israel. Before I start, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Wahara Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles in Israel who rule and teach well, to the Akim and the highways and byways, and those pushing videos in truth and sincerity, to the brothers and sisters in the truth. Now, we've had the decision on the Roe vs Wade that happened recently, where it says U.S. Supreme Court ends constitutional right to abortion. Now, we know that abortion itself is part of the crafty council that has been happening amongst our people. Now, the decision is a right decision, but many of our women are destroyed. Now, I don't have Instagram or none of these. I was watching a lesson where they were playing a number of clips of women on Instagram, mainly black women, and their thoughts. And there's a number of them is advocating that, the abortion shouldn't have been, that right should have been ended. There's one sister on there, she said, F those children, and the woman should have a right over to her own body. I've had an abortion and I'd have 100 more. Showing you how destroyed our people are. Now, this law was brought in based upon a woman called Jane Roe, which wasn't her name. That was the alias used, who claimed she had been raped. But I want to play this video here, and let's look at this. So it says Roe vs. Wade was passed because Norma McCorvey, that's her name, lied about being raped. It says, don't believe me, listen to her. So I'm going to expand this and play this. The laptop is running a bit slow because I'm doing something in the background, but watch this.
Jane Roe's story was a terrible one. She said she had been gang raped, gotten pregnant, was desperate to get an abortion. That's what everyone believed as long as Jane Roe remained anonymous. When she went public, she told a different story.
You were raped while you were in Georgia?
No, I wasn't.
This is the woman there.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, so all those stories that are in the books and so forth are not true?
Yes, sir. Yes.
They're not true.
Right. And it turned out that lying wasn't the only embarrassment this darling of the pro-choice forces presented. In her personal treatise published last year, Norma McCorvey told the story of her somewhat sordid life. Then she still adamantly supported abortion. Now she adds that to the list of sins she took with her into the baptismal pool.
And you're not going to wash them away like that. But the point is that law was brought in based upon a lie. And we know that there's been various crafty counsels that's been used against our people. And this is one of them. Going back to this woman here. Now, this article is saying, I'll read it anyway, and you can get the gist. It says, it was 100 years ago on 16th of October that Margaret Sanger opened the first birth control clinic in the United States. An advocate for women's reproductive rights, who was also a vocal eugenics enthusiast. Margaret Sanger leaves a complicated legacy. Now I'm going to jump down a bit. And these things here, has happened because it's one way the Most has been bringing judgment on our people anyway. It says, I'll start from here. It says, last year, 25 House Republicans campaigned to have a bust of the pioneering family planner removed from the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery, where it has been included in an exhibit featuring American civil rights leader called The Struggle for Justice, with Ted Cruz's office issuing a press release explaining that she didn't belong there for a number of reasons. The most damning one is that as part of her in Humane Life's work, she advocated for the extermination of African Americans. It's not the first time Sanger has faced this accusation, and what they're trying to say is she didn't make the accusation. We'll read on. It says it's not the first time Sanger has faced this accusation. During this past primary season, Ben Carson proclaimed that Sanger believed that people like me should be eliminated, later clarifying per PolitiFact that he was talking about the black race. And in 2011, Herman Cain alleged that Sanger's original goal for Planned Parenthood was to help kill black babies before they came into the world. And a lot of these abortions that's happening, to really put it on the sisters is because the sisters them are being loose and not, they're not having any thought for their sexual promiscuity. Now, obviously, you can't have a baby by yourself. It takes two to tango. But in how things are these days, especially knowing that the onus tends to fall on the woman, it's down to the woman to then be more mindful of how she goes around having her um, what's the word I'm using? Enjoyment. Says much of the controversy stems from a 1939 letter in which Sanger outlined her plan to reach out to black leaders, specifically ministers, to help dispel community suspicions about the family planned clinics she was opening in the South. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is a man who can straighten out the idea if it occurs to any of their more rebellious members, she wrote. What do you mean if it occurs to any of his more rebellious members? Meaning those who was against setting up these planning centers in the community. Um, it was, as the Washington Post called it, an inartfully written sentence, but one that in context described a sort of preposterous allegations she feared, not her actual mission. And that's what they say. So the irony is that it has been used to propagate those very allegations. Now, it's like, if we look at the, now it says there, where is it? That she wanted to says much of the controversy stems from a 1939 letter in which Sanger outlined her plan to reach out to black leaders, specifically ministers. Now, if we look at is it this one? It's like, there's an article I've got that shows the stats. Yeah, this one here. It says people of all religion use birth control and have abortions. Look at this. It says people of all faiths and religions want, need, and use reproductive healthcare services. In fact, the most recent data show that more than 99% of people in the United States who identify as religious have ever used contraceptive methods such as birth control pill, IUDs, and condoms. Only 1% have only solely used natural family planning. Now, it says, jump down here. They give you some, the percentage of women who have ever used a contraceptive method, yeah? But when we come down, it says the same goes for abortion. In fact, research has consistently shown that the majority of people who obtain an abortion have a religious affiliation. Yeah, because a lot of our people, for want of a better word, are religious to some extent. So this is why she wanted to reach out to the religious pastors. Yeah, it says according to the most recent Guttmacher Institute data in 2014, 7% of abortion patients identified as mainline Protestant, 13% as evangelical Protestant, 24% as Catholic, 38% reported no religion affiliation, and 8% reported some other affiliation. It says the bottom line is that people of all religions use reproductive health services. Yeah, but if you look at these, yeah, most of these are going into our people. And when we look at the abortion rate in general, it says abortion and women of color, the bigger picture. you see that when it comes to abortion amongst our people, our women let us down, man. They abort a lot of babies. Says this much is true in the United States. The abortion rate for black women is almost 5 times that for white women. Anti-abortion activists, including some African American pastors, have been waging a campaign around this fact, falsely asserting that the disparity is the result of aggressive marketing by abortion providers to minority communities. But why would that be a false accusation when you look at the stats, which will show, you know? And going back to what this woman's saying, she wants to reach out to the ministers so that they can, quell the more rebellious ones. There's the Issue for Life Foundation, for example, is a faith-based organization that targets and works with African American leaders towards achieving the goal of zero African American lives lost to abortion or biotechnology. April, Issues for Life wrote to the Congressional Black Caucus to denounce Planned Parenthood Federation of America and its racist and eugenic goals. The group blamed PPFA and abortion providers in general for the high abortion rate in the African American community, deeming the situation the downfall of America, and called on Congress to withdraw federal family planning funds from all PPFA affiliates. Now I want to show some of these stats. Actually, it says these activists are exploiting and distorting the facts to serve their anti-abortion agenda. But when we look at the stats, we'll see is they ignore the fundamental reason women have abortions and the underlying problem of racial and ethnic disparities across an array of health indicators. And the fact is, our people, like the amount of money that we have, the spending power is very high. Yeah, I think probably about 10th in the world. Says the truth is that behind virtually every abortion is an unintended pregnancy. I'll say it's more a lot of people not being doing safe sex, as they say. Women, as the scriptures say, opening her quiver to every arrow. It says this applies to all women, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, and Native American alike. Not surprisingly, the variation in abortion rates across racial and ethnic groups relates directly to the variation in the unintended pregnancy rates across the same groups. Now, it says black women are not alone in having disproportionately high unintended pregnancy. So what's an unintended pregnancy? Now, one example of that could be rape. Yeah. But for the amount of babies that are aborted, the majority of them that's down to rape is very small. Not the majority. The amount of those that are down to rape are very small. It says black women are not alone in having disproportionately high unintended pregnancy and abortion rates. So these unintended pregnancy would be down to women just having sex and not being mindful of the fact that I could get pregnant through this. It says the abortion rate among Hispanic women, for example, although not as high as the rate of among black women, is double the rate among whites. Hispanics also have a higher level of unintended pregnancy than white women. Black women's unintended pregnancy rates are the highest of all. Yeah? These higher unintended pregnancy rates reflect the particular difficulties that many women in minority communities face in accessing high quality contraceptive services and in using their chosen method of birth control consistently and effectively over a long period of time. Moreover, these realities must be seen in larger contexts in which significant racial and ethnic disparities persist for a wide range of health outcomes. Blah, blah, blah. Now, I want to show some of these stats. So you can't put down to the fact of contraception. Yeah, that's very poor. So the abortion rates have been declining in the United States for a quarter of a century from a high of 29 per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44 in 81 to an historic low post Roe vs Wade. So before this woman came and lied about being raped, of 19.4 in 2005 The overall number of abortions has been falling too, dropping to 1.2 million in 2005. It says currently about 1/3 of all abortions are obtained by white women, and 37 are obtained by black women. Oh, shit. That's lucky. It says, where was I? Yeah, Latinos comprise a smaller portion of the women who have abortions, and the rest are obtained by Asian, Pacific Islanders, Native American, and women of mixed race. So let's look at this chart. Who has abortions? Most abortions in the United States are obtained by minority women. So 37% black, 34% white, 22% Hispanic, 8% other. So amongst our people, 37 and the 22, we have a lot of abortion rates among ourselves. And a lot of this is the crafty counsel that we read about in the scriptures. Before I go there, I want to read this. In America, this article is what? She'll give me the names of the other articles actually. So this one here with the Roe vs Wade, the Margaret Sanger Slakia. This is a time. This on the abortions is by Guttmacher Institute. And this article here now is abortion and race. It says, in America today, the average black woman is almost 5 times more likely to have an abortion than the average white woman. Part of this disparity owes to the fact that statistically, black women get pregnant more frequently than white women. Why is that? Yeah, why is that? It says, but even if we control for pregnancy, black babies are still more than 3.5 times more likely to be aborted than their white counterparts. No matter what your opinion of abortion, the fact that it disproportionately eliminates members of the minority community is a significant sociological problem. Here's what it looks like by the numbers. According to the latest census estimates, just over 30% of the US population is black. Yeah, 13%. And yet somewhere between 28 to 38% of all US abortions are performed on black babies. The Guttmacher Institute puts that number at 28% based on voluntary 2014 survey data from 8,000 mass correspondents. Yeah. Now, I did that. This was the amount of our the religions. But like I was saying, let me show you this graph here. Same graph we just looked at. This one says abortion is increasingly concentrated among poor women. And we know that our people are normally in a poor state. Now, when we go to Psalms 83, it says, Psalms 83 and 3, says, for lo, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And part of the cutting us from being a nation is trying to get rid of us as a people in general, yeah, which is nothing new. This is Exodus chapter 1 and 9. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. And this is what these nations know. We are a mighty people, and we are an abundance of people. It says, come on, let us deal wisely with them. So part of their part of the way of them dealing wisely with us was with these abortion options that they've been giving our women. It says, come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they falleth out any war, they join also our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with burdens, and they built for Pharaoh a treasure city, Pithom and Ramesses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage. Let me get down to the point. Yeah, this is verse 15. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shipra, and the name of the other Puah, and he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew woman, so they try to get our own people to do this, and see them upon the stalls, if it be a son, then shall he kill him, but if it be a daughter, then shall he live. And why is that? Because we know that according to scripture, your lineage is determined by the male. So if they kill off the male, even if they slept with our women, it will be their seed line which is continuing. And same thing happened in the New Testament with Yahweh Shai. Matthew 2:11, and when they were coming to the house, they saw the young child with Mary's mother, fell down and worshipped him, speaking about the wise men. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of the Most High in a dream that they should not return to Herod, Edomite, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. Yeah. 16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wrath, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, yea, killing off our young, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. And these were probably the males that were killing off. Like I said, if they have children with our women, those child would be of those nations. So this decision, it's a good decision, but you find out that many of our women, mainly those as well who probably have had abortions before or would have abortions, you find out don't like this decision. Yeah? But this is a right decision, But it is part of the crafted council, this abortion that has been put in place to help get rid of many of our people. Let me see something. How many children has been aborted? Let's see if I can get some kind of a number. If there's anything that gives me anything on this. That babies are nearly 40. Right, see this one says that babies are nearly 40% of US abortions. See if I can get any numbers on this. I'll just bring up the same. And there's a thing that came up saying the most dangerous place for a black child is in the womb. That's because of the amount of abortions that our women actually have. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah. Yes. One sec. If I can find that saying. Yeah, well, it was a post. And people got upset at that when that came out. But the fact is, our women are killing off our babies at a disproportionate rate. Mother sues anti-choice group behind billboards. And this is the most dangerous place for an African American is in the womb. And why is that? Because the amount of abortions that our women have. Let me see what this says. Tuesday, New Jersey mother Trisha Fraser announced she's suing anti-choice groups that use images of her. Oh, okay. Then it says the most dangerous place for an African American is in the room. So that's why she's sued them. It says controversy over the ad erupted late last year when a billboard first went up near Manhattan's high traffic Holland Tunnel. The ad was by the Holland Tunnel for 4 months before it was taken down following complaints by city officials. Al Sharpton. So why is he complaining when the stats show that our women kill quite a bit of their babies, man, by abortion? What I want to find, if I can. Okay. Don't look up. I'm gonna find it. Was the rate at which our women, like the amount of abortions that has happened. Let me see if I can try that. If not, I'll just close out the amount of black abortions. Oh, come on, black abortions. Let me read this quickly. Case against abortion and race. And this is one I was reading earlier. Yeah. It's not giving me the number that I want. You can see the point anyway. It's like when it comes to abortions, our women greatly outnumber these other nations. And like I said, that's part of the crafted council. So the decision that was made is a good decision. But at the same time, which was, the Roe vs Wade was based upon a lie in the first place. And the decision to overturn that is a good decision. But at the same time, that's not going to stop our women from doing what they do, man. This is why people need to repent. But yeah, just wanted to touch that quickly to show the stats on some of these things. Yeah, but with that, I'm going to close out and give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Maharakah Kadash, Kwame Allah.